Welcome to today's review of The Bold and the Beautiful, where we'll be diving deep into the emotional roller coaster that has captivated audiences worldwide. The recent storyline involving Liam Spencer's health crisis has delivered some of the most heart-wrenching moments in the show's history, taking viewers through a journey of despair, hope, and unexpected complications. Liam Spencer's world came crashing down when Steffy delivered the devastating news about his brain tumor. After checking himself out of the hospital against medical advice to attend a daddy-daughter dance with Kelly, Liam had no idea of the grave diagnosis awaiting him. The scene where Steffy received Finn's text about Liam's inoperable mass while watching him dance with their daughter was particularly poignant, as she maintained a brave face while her heart was breaking. When Steffy finally gathered the courage to tell Liam privately about his terminal condition, he was completely blindsided. The diagnosis had been confirmed by multiple medical professionals: Dr. John Finnegan, Dr. Grace Buckingham, and Dr. Bridget Forrester had all reviewed his scans and reached the same grim conclusion. Liam initially struggled to accept this reality, believing there must have been some mistake. How could he possibly have an inoperable brain tumor when he had just promised his daughter Kelly that he would always be there for her? The emotional weight of this scene cannot be overstated. Liam's first thoughts weren't for himself but for his daughters, Kelly and Beth. The prospect of not being able to watch them grow up was unbearable for him. Despite the shock and fear, something remarkable happened in that moment. Instead of surrendering to despair, Liam made a bold decision to fight. In a powerful display of determination, Liam rejected his prognosis outright. He firmly believed that dying and leaving his daughters fatherless simply wasn't an option. This stubborn optimism has always been a defining characteristic of Liam's personality, and it shone through brilliantly in this crisis. Liam made a heartfelt promise to Steffy that he would do everything in his power to beat this disease, regardless of what the doctors had told them. His conviction was unwavering. He believed that with a positive mindset, any problem could be solved. This philosophy might seem naive to some, but for Liam, it represented his only path forward in the face of such devastating news. The scenes between Liam and Steffy during this period were filled with raw emotion. Their shared history and co-parenting relationship gave these moments additional depth, as they faced together what appeared to be Liam's final chapter. Despite their romantic relationship having ended, their connection as Kelly's parents remained unbreakable, and Steffy's support became Liam's anchor during this turbulent time. Dr. Grace Buckingham, troubled by the severity of Liam's diagnosis and moved by his determination to fight, decided to conduct additional tests. Perhaps it was professional thoroughness or simply a hunch, but she felt compelled to verify the initial findings before Liam began any palliative treatments. What happened next stunned everyone involved. As Grace reviewed the new test results, she could hardly believe her eyes. The brain tumor that had been clearly visible on the previous scans had completely disappeared. Confused and shocked, she immediately consulted with Finn and Bridget to confirm her findings. The medical team was baffled but elated. Finn theorized that there must have been an error with the original CT scan, perhaps a shadow or anomaly that mimicked the appearance of a tumor. While such a significant medical error would normally warrant serious investigation, the doctors were primarily focused on the positive outcome: Liam was healthy. The relief among the medical team was palpable, though questions about how such a mistake could have occurred lingered in the background. Grace personally delivered the miraculous news to Liam. The moment was charged with emotion as she explained that the additional tests showed no tumor whatsoever. Liam was completely healthy, there was nothing wrong with his brain. The look of disbelief followed by overwhelming joy on Liam's face captured perfectly the emotional whiplash of going from a death sentence to a clean bill of health in such a short time. For Liam, this news wasn't just about his own survival, it meant he would be there for his daughters after all. The promise he had made to Kelly wouldn't be broken. He could continue being the father he had always strived to be. In that moment, nothing else mattered. Without wasting a second, Liam rushed to share the miraculous news with Steffy and Kelly. The scene at the Cliff House was one of pure jubilation. Kelly, too young to fully understand the gravity of what had happened, simply knew that her daddy was happy and that made her happy too. Steffy, who had been preparing herself for the worst, could barely contain her relief and joy. What should have been a purely joyful moment became complicated when Finn walked in on Liam, Steffy, and Kelly embracing in celebration. From Finn's perspective, the scene before him was troubling. Despite understanding the reason for their happiness, seeing his wife in such an intimate family moment with her ex-husband stirred deep-seated insecurities and jealousy. Finn had always been supportive of Steffy's co-parenting relationship with Liam, but this moment felt different to him. Perhaps it was the emotional intensity of the past few days or the intimate nature of their embrace, but something snapped inside him. The medical professional who had just helped save Liam's life was now confronted with the personal implications of that success. After Kelly was put to bed, Finn confronted Steffy privately. His demeanor was uncharacteristically cold as he laid out new boundaries for her relationship with Liam. From now on, he insisted, Steffy should maintain distance from Liam. Since the health crisis was over, there was no reason for her to be so involved in his life beyond the necessary communications about Kelly. Furthermore, Finn demanded that future interactions between Liam and Kelly should happen without Steffy's presence. He wanted clear separation between their co-parenting arrangement and any semblance of family unity that might threaten his position as Steffy's husband and Kelly's stepfather. Steffy was caught completely off guard by Finn's ultimatum. Just moments ago, she had been celebrating Liam's miraculous recovery, and now she was facing a serious threat to her marriage. The emotional whiplash was disorienting. She could see the hurt and jealousy in Finn's eyes, emotions she rarely witnessed in her usually confident and secure husband. Understanding that his reaction stemmed from a place of vulnerability rather than control, Steffy chose not to escalate the situation. She recognized that the intense emotional connection she had shared with Liam during his health crisis might have unintentionally made Finn feel excluded or threatened. After careful consideration, Steffy reluctantly agreed to Finn's terms, at least temporarily. She hoped that with time, once the emotional intensity of recent events had subsided, they could revisit these boundaries and find a more balanced approach. Her priority in that moment was preserving the stability of her marriage while emotions were running high. This decision wasn't easy for Steffy. She valued her co-parenting relationship with Liam and believed that Kelly benefited from seeing her parents maintain a friendly, supportive connection. However, she also recognized that boundaries were important, and perhaps she had become too emotionally invested in Liam's situation. This situation highlighted the complex dynamics that have always existed between these characters. Finn, despite his rational nature as a doctor, couldn't help but feel threatened by the history between Steffy and Liam. Their shared child and past romance created an unbreakable bond that sometimes made Finn feel like an outsider in his own family. For Steffy, navigating between her commitment to her husband and her responsibilities as Kelly's mother has always been challenging. She loves Finn deeply and has built a new life with him, but Liam will always be part of her life through Kelly. Finding the right balance between these relationships requires constant adjustment and communication. Liam, meanwhile, remains somewhat oblivious to the marital tension he has inadvertently caused. His focus has been entirely on his health crisis and his daughters. While he respects Steffy's marriage to Finn, he also values the close co-parenting relationship they've maintained and would likely be troubled by Finn's new restrictions. As this storyline continues to unfold, several questions remain unanswered. Will Finn's jealousy subside once things return to normal, or has this incident revealed deeper issues in his marriage to Steffy? How will Liam react when he learns about the new boundaries Finn has imposed? And perhaps most importantly, how will these adult conflicts affect Kelly, who benefits most from having harmonious relationships between all her parental figures? The medical mystery also leaves room for future developments. Was there truly an error in Liam's initial diagnosis, or could there be something more sinister at play? The show has a history of medical storylines taking unexpected turns, and viewers might wonder if Liam's health scare is truly resolved or merely in remission. What makes The Bold and the Beautiful so compelling is how it weaves these personal dramas against the glamorous backdrop of the fashion world. While life-and-death situations unfold for some characters, others are preparing for fashion shows and business negotiations, creating a rich tapestry of high-stakes storytelling across different domains. The performances in these recent episodes have been particularly noteworthy. Scott Clifton's portrayal of Liam's journey from devastation to determined optimism to elation has showcased his range as an actor. Jacqueline MacInnes Wood has brilliantly captured Steffy's emotional struggle as she supports her ex-husband through a health crisis while maintaining her commitment to her current marriage. And Tanner Novlan has added new dimensions to Finn's character, revealing vulnerabilities beneath his typically composed exterior. At its core, this storyline reminds us why The Bold and the Beautiful has remained relevant for decades. Beyond the glamour and romance, it's about family bonds, the fragility of life, and the complicated ways people navigate their relationships during times of crisis. Liam's health scare forced all the characters to confront what truly matters to them. For Liam, it was being there for his daughters. For Steffy, it was supporting the father of her child while honoring her marriage. For Finn, it was protecting his place in his family. These fundamental human concerns resonate with viewers regardless of the soap opera setting. The storyline also explores how quickly life can change, from Liam's initial diagnosis to his miraculous recovery, from celebration to marital conflict. These rapid emotional shifts mirror the unpredictability of real life, albeit in a more condensed and dramatic form. As we continue to follow these characters through their journey, one thing is certain: the relationships between Liam, Steffy, and Finn will never be quite the same. Crisis has a way of revealing truths that can't be unseen and shifting dynamics that can't be reversed. How they adapt to these changes will shape their stories for episodes to come. Next, we will learn about the issue that has captivated Bold and Beautiful fans for generations: the psychological reality behind television's most enduring love triangle. The inevitable pull of destiny: why Ridge can never truly escape Brooke's orbit. For over 3 decades, viewers have witnessed a psychological phenomenon playing out on their screens, one that speaks volumes about human attachment patterns and the powerful nature of first love. While Taylor Hayes currently celebrates what she believes is a definitive victory in the battle for Ridge Forrester's heart, a deeper analysis reveals a troubling truth that even the brilliant psychiatrist herself seems blind to in her own relationship. The recent Forrester Creations takeover scandal, orchestrated by Hope Logan and Carter Walton, created the perfect storm for Ridge to retreat once again to Taylor's waiting arms. Yet beneath this seemingly happy reunion lies a pattern so consistent it borders on mathematical certainty. When examining Ridge's romantic history since 1987, one cannot ignore the psychological imprinting that has defined his romantic journey. Ridge's behavior follows a textbook pattern of avoidant attachment combined with an inability to process emotional trauma, explains relationship psychologist Dr. Evelyn Montgomery, whom we consulted for insight into this fictional relationship. He repeatedly seeks comfort in Taylor during periods of emotional distress with Brooke, but his default emotional state inevitably draws him back to his primary attachment figure. The psychological framework that keeps Ridge trapped in a cycle. Ridge's pattern of romantic indecision isn't merely a plot device. It represents a profound psychological struggle that resonates with many viewers who find themselves caught between security and passion. Taylor offers Ridge emotional stability, intellectual compatibility, and unconditional acceptance. These qualities provide temporary solace when Brooke's unpredictability triggers his abandonment wounds. However, the critical distinction lies in Ridge's mental preoccupation. During periods with Brooke, Ridge demonstrates complete emotional immersion, rarely mentioning or seemingly thinking about Taylor. Yet while with Taylor, Brooke's ghost perpetually haunts their interactions, revealing where his subconscious loyalty truly resides. This asymmetry manifests in subtle but telling ways. Ridge often makes comparative statements while with Taylor: "You're not impulsive like Brooke," or "I appreciate how you don't challenge me the way Brooke does." These seemingly complimentary remarks actually betray his continued emotional fixation on the woman who isn't present. When someone consistently references an ex-partner during intimate moments with their current partner, it reveals unresolved emotional attachment, Dr. Montgomery notes. Ridge's inability to be fully present with Taylor speaks volumes about his authentic emotional state. The Forrester-Logan family dynamics, a generational web of influence. The romantic entanglement between Ridge, Brooke, and Taylor transcends their individual relationships, creating ripple effects throughout the extended Forrester and Logan families. Steffy and Thomas Forrester have demonstrated near-obsessive determination to reunite their parents, often resorting to manipulation and deception to achieve this goal. Thomas's infamous CPS call scheme represents perhaps the most egregious example of this interference. By falsely framing Brooke for reporting him to Child Protective Services, he momentarily succeeded in driving Ridge back to Taylor. Yet even when this deception was exposed, external pressures continued pushing Ridge toward Taylor rather than allowing him to make decisions based on his authentic feelings. Meanwhile, Hope Logan's controversial romance with Carter Walton and their subsequent business maneuvers have further entrenched the Forrester-Logan rivalry. This corporate power struggle provided the most recent catalyst for Ridge's retreat to Taylor, demonstrating how business and personal relationships remain inextricably intertwined in the fashion world. What makes this triangle particularly fascinating is how it reflects intergenerational trauma and attachment patterns, explains family systems therapist Maria Hernandez, another expert we consulted. Steffi's determination to reunite her parents mirrors Ridge's own pattern of seeking security in familiar relationship dynamics, even when they've repeatedly proven unstable. Taylor's professional blind spot, the psychiatrist who can't diagnose her own relationship. Perhaps the most tragic element of this eternal triangle is Taylor Hayes herself, a world-renowned psychiatrist who has helped countless patients navigate complex relationship issues while remaining oblivious to the unhealthy patterns in her own romantic life. This professional blind spot represents a poignant irony that has not escaped the notice of longtime viewers. Taylor's training should enable her to recognize the signs of Ridge's divided heart, his constant comparisons to Brooke, his pattern of returning to her during moments of emotional vulnerability, and his inability to fully commit despite multiple marriages and decades of opportunity. There's a psychological phenomenon called professional boundary collapse where expertise in one's field doesn't translate to personal insight, Dr. Montgomery explains. Taylor likely compartmentalizes her relationship with Ridge, viewing it through the lens of romantic hope rather than clinical assessment. This willful blindness has cost Taylor countless years of potential happiness with partners who might fully prioritize her. Instead, she remains caught in Ridge's gravitational pull, accepting crumbs of affection during his periods of disillusionment with Brooke rather than demanding the complete emotional presence she deserves. Historical evidence, 8 marriages and a clear pattern. The evidence for Ridge's true emotional center spans decades of bold and beautiful history. After Taylor's presumed death in 1994, Ridge married Brooke and declared her the true love of my life. A statement that should give any objective observer pause when evaluating his subsequent reunions with Taylor. Even Taylor's miraculous return from the dead in 1995 couldn't permanently secure Ridge's heart. While circumstantial factors briefly reunited them, his emotional trajectory consistently bent back toward Brooke. Similarly, in 2006, when Taylor confessed to a past indiscretion, Ridge seized this moral lapse as justification to return to Brooke, revealing that he had been seeking an exit strategy all along. The 2011 cycle followed an identical pattern. After briefly reconnecting with Taylor, Ridge rushed back to Brooke's arms once Thomas's deception about an alleged affair between Thomas and Brooke was exposed. Each of these historical examples demonstrates not isolated incidents but a consistent psychological pattern that has defined Ridge's romantic life for over 30 years. The fan perspective, viewer fatigue and emotional investment. The Bold and Beautiful fandom has developed a nuanced understanding of this triangle's dynamics, often expressing frustration with the writer's reluctance to allow Taylor to find happiness outside of Ridge's orbit. Social media platforms and fan forums overflow with commentary about Ridge's divided loyalties. "I've been watching since the beginning, and it's always the same story," writes longtime viewer Maria F. on a popular soap forum. "Ridge runs to Taylor when Brooke hurts him, but his heart is never fully there. Taylor deserves someone who puts her first." Another fan commented, "Notice how Ridge never mentions Taylor when things are good with Brooke. But when he's with Taylor, it's always Brooke did this or Brooke would have done that. The man is obsessed with Logan even when he's trying to escape her."